Hey, yo, here we are. Good afternoon, everybody. Happy New Year. It's 2024, and I've got my very first guest on the Master Motivation Podcast today, where I have the opportunity to help bring some motivation, inspiration, and education to this show with an amazing guest, Mr. Michael Fabber, who is the business brain behind the beard. He is the one of the most sought after business strategists and founder of UnleashU now. Michael's life's purpose is to end suicide and self-injurious behavior. Michael, I'm super excited to have you on the show. Thanks for being on Master Motivation.
Thanks for having me, brother. I'm honored to be here. First of the year. Let's go.
Yeah. Well, we said, save the best for last, save the best for first. Either way,
right.
I got you on the show, and I'm excited to have you.
Now I know why you put me here. You're like, all right. Lower expectations, first one.
No. I don't know. I think we're going to have to set the bar really high today so that everybody's got to catch up throughout the rest of the year.
Let's do it. I'm in.
So, we had a conversation a couple weeks ago. Like I've mentioned before, I've been following you. I love reading your posts on social media every day. I just love it because you're raw, you're real, kind of no BS, right? And just say it like it is. And I think that's I love it. I love the vulnerability. I love the transparency. I think it just brings out the real person versus what sometimes we see on social media on the regular. You posted something. Well, you posted something that struck me just about life's challenges of last year, successes and challenges and, all this stuff. To me, I want to know, like, what is your motivation for putting all that out there in the open to everybody?
Well, in this space, in a lot of the spaces when it comes to like business or trying to do great things, we try to show the wins or we only show the wins. A lot of people show the beach laptop style, right? Like I'm always in a new island and I'm on my private jet, right? And it's like, I think sometimes, at least for me, when I was trying to make it, I thought like they didn't go through anything like I went through. So I wasn't going to make it because they're showing me all this lavish lifestyle and I'm sitting here trying to figure out how to make $1, right? And I think all too often we get classified as our mistakes, right? When I was young and got in trouble, it was if you got in trouble, your life was over, right? So for a long part of my life, I thought my life was over. So I'm like, man, it's over already. It just started. So I really want people to see that no matter where you are, life is happening, man. Like there's going to be trials and tribulations everywhere along the line. There are going to be different kinds in different spaces in your life, and we're all going to battle them. So meaning that's the truth, meaning that when you're going through something, you can still conquer things. You can still do extraordinary things. You can still get mastery level or greatness, right? Like you can still do that no matter all the stuff that life throws at you. I just G-rated myself. I'm proud of me. I'm a big cursor. I'm trying not to on here. But life is going to life, right? Like life has a funny way of lifing, and it's going to continuously do that. And for people to think that when that happens to them, they're out of it, well, that's bogus. So I want them to show that even us that are doing good things, bigger things, traveling the world, right? All that good stuff. We're still human.
Right.
Like, and we're still going to make mistakes and we're still going to err and we're going to, and we're going to do wrong. We're not going to live up to the character in which we set for ourselves, the standards we have in our life all the time. We're not. That's why we have them, so we can measure. Right. And that's okay. Like we're going to course correct and grow and get better and come back for more. And that doesn't mean you can't have the life you want.
Absolutely. I posted something myself the other day. I keep this, what I call my highlight and victory list. And every single day, I try to write down something that was really positive, something I accomplished, something that, impacted, something that I wanted to remember, right? So I post this. I started this back in 2011. And so I posted it and someone said to me, I really like this because it allows me to really focus on the positive, because sometimes we get stuck on the negative or we get stuck on our mistakes and our challenges. And quite honestly, for me, that was a big part of writing this list, because I am A-type personality, kind of perfectionist, don't like to let people down, want everything to be just right. And I can get stuck so easily on all the mistakes that I've made or what I didn't accomplish today. And so that list really kind of helped me. And so, your posts are something that I look forward to. And it's just great to see both sides of the coin, right? Because you're right. A lot of people like to post the the jets, the beach, the house, the cars, the this and that. And hey, and you know what? I think that's awesome.
Oh, yeah.
More power to them. So cool
Get
to
it.
see people succeed, but not very often do we post, the big time failures. And I think that we learn the most from that. Now, you said you had a major setback in your life. You got in some trouble. Can we talk about that a little bit?
Oh, yeah. Well, I got in plenty of trouble, man. I got in trouble from like 12 to 20. So much so that at 20 years old, I was facing like 20 plus years in jail. All right. So, yeah, I mean, I made every mistake. I always tell everybody, like, my extraordinary story is that I made every mistake and I'm still here. Right. So why I say that is because, like, whatever you've done, whatever you've gone through, you can still make it. Like, you can still do this, whatever you want to do. You just have to figure out the way and figure out the people and then how to go down that path, but make the commitment to being it. For me, it was a crazy 1 week. I was 20 years old. I just beat the last court case I really had. I'll tell you a funny story about the one I got after that, but it didn't end up going to court. But it was pretty humorous for me. But I'm facing 20 years. I just beat the case. I find out I'm going to be a dad, and I get shot at in like the same week. Right. And I'm like, whatever you call it, you can call it God, universe, tree, dirt. Like, I'm not going to get in that argument with you. Whatever you call it, I just say, cool. Like, that's the thing. All right. Like, whatever we call it, that's what we believe it all is. So it's fine. But I feel like whatever you call that thing, it like whispers to you, like, hey, psst, like, pay attention. You're not going down the right. Like, you're here for something greater. Right. And then it keeps getting louder and louder and louder until it either like you really get it or it's too late.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And for me, it needed to scream for me to hear it. All right. So that happens, and I'm like, oh, like, I don't want to be dead or in jail for my kid. My father died when I was a teenager, so I'm like, I don't want that for my daughter. I'm going to try to do better. So I moved to Delaware because who the hell gets in trouble in Delaware was really my thinking. Most people don't even know it's a state. But I was in and out of trouble from 12 years old to 20, in and out of juvie, and then and jail. So,
wow. So, you mentioned that your dad died when you were a teenager. Do you think that had anything to do with the choices you made, or was that a big impact on you?
Not so much. The big thing that got me was my brother passed when I was like 10, right? And that had a major impact on me because my family was very military, right? Like, almost like everybody served but me, pretty much. It felt like. And when in our family, we weren't hurt, we were angry. All right. So young, I learned that I was angry because I was hurt. Right. But I didn't know how to classify that or explain it or voice it. So I was just angry and I wanted people to feel me. Right. So I felt understood. So I would let people know, like, through my anger and my displays of that, how I felt. Right? Like, and if you couldn't understand my pain, I'd try to make you feel it.
Wow. So what was the first instance at 12? Like, did it kind of start small and then kind of progress into bigger things that got you into trouble?
Oh, yeah, 100%. Like, I got in a fight in school and I stole cigarettes out of the back of a truck and tried to sell them packs on the sidewalk. That was my brother's idea. I didn't think of that myself. But another thing us Fabbers don't do is we don't rat. So I took that on the chin like I had to. So that was it. Started with like just like little fights and taking cigarettes and selling them.
You talked about finding the right people, right? So you've gone through all of these things in life and you've learned some major lessons. But when was it that you started to find the right people? And what does that mean, finding the right people? Who were they?
So that's great. So, people always use that cliche, whoever you surround yourself with, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm always I sit back now and I'm like, why do we really say this as we're older? Because I'm sure you didn't, when you were young, you didn't hang out with a bunch of people doing what you did, right? Like, or doing now, right? Like, they're not like owning a bunch of stuff and kicking people through walls and like, right? Like, they're not doing that, right? I'm not saying you are, just saying you can, right? It's like, I didn't hang out with people that are doing what I'm doing, right? Like, they're not walking around speaking in a bunch of places, owning a bunch of business. Like, we didn't see this every day. Right? Like Jose in the house.
Out there. What's up, Jose?
Right. So when they're like, watch who you hang out with, you're going to be just like them. And I'm like, I don't know. It didn't prove that way to me. But I will say this. they can make it harder for you or they can make it easier for you.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And then there's a lot of users out there. And I don't just mean people in drug space like I was. There's a lot of users. All right. They'll use you for anything they can get from you, and then but help you with no regard or care about you to no regard.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I say I don't want to be needed. Right. Like people always want to be needed. I do not want to be needed. Because needed means they're going to use you as long as they need you. I want to be wanted. Because that's a choice. Right. And that means they made a choice for me. And that's huge. Right. So when you get around the right people, they'll speak life into you. Right. I always say there's 3 people. Mark Cox in the house. What's up? He said, he said he was going to break a block. And I thought he was talking about like a block, but he was talking about my head. I was like, oh, that was rude on two occasions, man. But I would say there's 3 things you want from the people around you, man. You want them to lift you up when you fall, man. You want to build you up so you know you can go after what you want. And you need them to check you to keep you up. All right, that's a hard one because no one likes being checked. All right, so those 3 things, that's what I want from the people around me. Lift me up, build me up, and check me to keep me up. All right, and when we have that, the results we can get, it's condensing time. We can get them faster. All right, and that means we can move quicker, we can climb mountains quicker, we can accomplish all our goals, get our business goals, impact people the way we want, everything faster. So when you get the right people around you, they're not going to encourage the dumb stuff, which a lot of people around me did for a long time. They're going to encourage the stuff about growth. They're going to encourage the stuff becoming the man you want to be or the person you want to be. Right. So when you get around the right people, they're going to speak a different way to you. They're going to speak life into you. And they're not going to let you do all the dumb stuff that you were doing before. They're going to check you out. That doesn't mean they leave you during it. It just means they check you for it, man. You got to feel that flame a little bit.
I like that you used flame. That was good.
Did it on purpose.
So tell me, who was one of the first people that you really felt this way, that was pouring into you and building you up, but also keeping you in check? Was there someone specific that like it just
right? It goes through rows,
you,
man. Right? Like one, my mom was always that way. I'm blessed with an amazing mother, man. I didn't deserve it. I didn't earn it. Right? Like I didn't nothing. I gave up on me numerous times before, and she never did. Right? So she was always saying, "You don't have to be this person. You don't have to be this person, Mike. That's your choice. You don't have to be this person." Right? And when that kind of sunk in, like you're right, I don't have to be this person. Right? That gave me the confidence and the strength to be like, "Yo, I'm out. Right? Like I got to go." And then my boy Michael Hudson, still one of my best friends. I met him when I was like 15. Still to this day is one of my best friends. This dude was like the only guy. So I got in a lot of trouble when I was a kid. Like so much so, like I was on the front page of the newspaper, right? And it was funny.
Not the way you wanted to.
Right. Yeah, I wasn't for hitting a winning shot. And the funny part was I got the front of the newspaper for something I actually didn't even do. I was just like, of all the stuff I did do, never made the front page. The stuff I did not do got me the front page. But anyway, and no one would let me over their house. Like no one was allowed to hang out with me. I was not allowed at anybody's houses. And Mike Hudson and his family, they always took me in. Right? They always let me come over. And when I came over, they made it like it was a cool thing, like it was good. Right? Like his mom would make food. I'm a big foodie. Right? Like his mom would make food. She made amazing meatballs. Right? So I like have meatballs. Then they would make like brownies with powdered sugar on it. I was like, what the hell is this? Right? Like, and it was just like they would watch wrestling. Right? So we'd watch wrestling all night. Like hell yeah, they got like every event there. Right? Like it was dope. It was just a good time. And they embraced me as like them. They embraced me as I was okay. Like I wasn't some disease or something horrible. Right. And they would always be like, you're good. Like you're good. Right. And so I would say those 2, birth, my mom, and then since 15, my boy Hudson.
Well, it kind of goes back to what you said earlier about, not wanting to be needed necessarily, but being wanted. And I think that all of us have that innate desire to be wanted or to belong. I know that, growing up, I had a great family, mom, dad, super supportive, 2 brothers. We had our good times and our bad times, like any other family, right? Some ups and downs. But, my martial arts school became the place that outside of my family, I felt like I belonged. And, when you said earlier, I probably wasn't surrounding myself with the people that I wanted to be like, it was actually the opposite for me, because everybody that I was around from the time I was a teenager until now, I have surrounded myself with this martial arts world. And, with Mr. Cox watching and a lot of my friends that I've trained with or I've had pour into me, I can't tell you how good it feels to be wanted and how good it feels to belong and to be part of a team and to feel that you have value. And my goal, I hope, is that I show that to my students, I show that to my team, I show that to my family, so that they know that they are valued, they are wanted, and that they're making that they're truly making a difference. I think that really, that all of that hits really really hard, really hits home. I'm going to take a quick break here, and maybe Jose's still watching, but we were talking about surrounding ourselves with the right people, finding the right people. I just want to introduce everybody that's watching on the show to the Connected Leaders Academy. Check it out.
Hi, my name is Jose Escobar, and I'm the founder and CEO of the Connected Leaders Academy. We're a growing tribe, a community of entrepreneurs all over the world, globally, all across the country, high performers, titans of industry. If you're an entrepreneur and you're looking to grow personally and professionally, scale your influence, develop your skill sets, move the needle in your business, more clients, more money, more profit, the bottom line, and of course, grow your circle and your network like never before, this is where you want to be. Join the Connected Leaders Academy today. We are scaling massively. We want to welcome you in. Check me out on Instagram and on Facebook, the @ JAESCO25. We look forward to having you join us. Take care.
I just want to give a huge shout out to Jose Escobar and what he has created and what he has put together with the Connected Leaders Academy. You can go check it out, www.connectedleadersacademy.com. Talk about bringing the right people. This is how I initially found you and so many people that I've been able to bring on the show. And something that I love about the Connected Leaders Academy and just tying all this, being wanted and belonging and value. The one thing that I love about Connected Leaders Academy, because I get asked to be part of different masterminds, is everybody wants to sell you. Everybody wants you to use their product. As soon as I get into a group, I'm getting pitched, right? It's like a pitch right into my box. And it kind of drives me crazy. But I feel like the Connected Leaders Academy is just a great way to have, some good relationships and opportunities available without that extra pressure. So again, huge shout out to Jose. How did you hook up with Jose and Connected Leaders Academy yourself?
I ran into Jose through a mutual friend, Emilio. We talked, and then we met again, and then we stayed up till like 5:30 in the morning the night of an event. He drinks beer like no one I've ever met, actually. And I don't drink beer, so I'm like, this is a horrible. So I'm like, I'm like, I don't know what to do here. I'll have a water, I guess. All right. The best part was the event started like 8 a.m. the next day. And I'm like, I need to close my eyes so I can open them at least. Right. But it was great. We had a great, and that night we were like, I joined the CLA. He brought me in and had me speak. He joined our mastermind. I'm 100% like you. If I do anything and immediately get a pitch, I am done. I'm out. I'm taking that person out. I'm out, right? Like it's everything, all right? I can't stand that. Whoever teaches the cold DM pitch, I hope you accidentally go into the wrong alley at some point and get karate chopped in the nuts, right? And I kept that all G-rated, just so you know. But it just, I don't want you to get too much pain, but I want you to understand what you're doing is horrible. But so it led, and just one thing to another. I'm going to his event, he's coming to my event, and it's just like we have this ongoing back and forth support of one another and what we're trying to do, because it's bigger than just a product or program. And I was actually with him this past weekend in Washington, went to a Commanders game with him, and he took me out to hilarious. He took me out to a bunch of breweries, and I was like, again, I don't drink beer, but it's fine. So that's how we connected, through a mutual friend, and then just dove in with one another and saw that we were both doing some crazy things and trying to make the world a better place, and wanted to be part of it.
That's awesome. Very cool. Well, let's talk a little bit about UnleashU now and how you kind of got to that point, because this is a there's a long road to get to here, right? And you can go back as far as you want. But what was your motivation behind creating UnleashU now?
I wanted to create something that wasn't about me, but was driven towards the purpose in which we have. Right? Anything you care about, you'll do. That's why I hate when they're like, however you do one thing is how you do everything. I'm like, I'm sorry. Right? But I know if someone calls me and says, hey, my daughter is somewhere and she needs help, that there is not a single soul on earth that is going to move as fast as I move in that moment. Right? Like Usain Bolt has nothing on me during that time. All right? I'll be the fastest momo on earth. G-rated again. Right? Now, if someone calls me and they say some stranger somewhere is having a little pressure, I'm going to be like, like, all right, like where, I guess, like maybe if I have time, right? It's completely different. Right. So I'm like, I don't get how they do, like how you do one thing is how you do everything. I don't really buy that, but whatever. I didn't want something to be about me, but it had to go towards the purpose, because when you care about something, you'll do more for it. Right. Period. I'm a big nerd. Like I'm a human behaviorist and neuroscience. Like that's my studies. Like I know I look like I hunt squirrels with razor blades in my mouth in West Virginia, but I don't. I'm actually a big nerd and try to cover it up. And human behavior, like you said about connection and belonging, huge cornerstones to human existence. Huge, right? Like from all time, you could look at tribal life. For all time, we wanted to be part of something and contribute to it for all time. Right? Like, I don't care if I'm a gatherer or a hunter or a planter, but I had a role, I was useful, and I was part of something. Right? Mm-hmm. And knowing that, you create something that someone can be part of and take ownership of, rather than calling it like Michael Fabber's crew, right? Because then it's you, right? Like, and it's not about them, but we wanted something about the people. So we want to end suicide and self-injurious behavior, like you said during the intro. And this is how we can do it realistically, is by empowering those that empower others. So that's what we do. We go around, we have over too many events, right? Over 24 events a year, too many.
Wow.
Here I'm like, let's dial back a little bit. And they take like one off the schedule. I'm like, thank you. It's like, I meant more than that, but it's fine. We have events, we have masterminds, we have different memberships. We have virtual master classes and deep dives and events as well. And we help businesses that are empower driven, right? Like impact driven entrepreneurs create massive impact, and in return, you create income.
And so this is where you are now, but this wasn't where you were always, as we spoke about your past. But, you talked about it being bigger than you and more than about you. Right. If I remember our conversation earlier, when you first started, it was Michael Fabber's
CMF. Yeah. Coach Mike Fabber.
Right? Yeah. So this is something that, so my karate school, right? I started out, we called it Tong Sudo University. And then at some point, like, I felt like it had to be Jason Flame's Tong Sudo University, mostly because my brother also owned a school, and it was one way to kind of set us apart. But, like, we go through this stage, many of us, I believe, go through the stage of this very selfish phase, this very much about me phase, right? I mean, I don't think that we all start out feeling totally selfless and helping others and doing what you're doing now. We learn through this phase.
Right. 100%.
Talk to me about that.
All right.
Go back a little bit.
The ego is a real thing, right? Yeah. And also, like, how do you get in any space? You model what's being done. Right. So I got into the space where it was like Tony Robbins and Associates, John Maxwell and Associates, Eric Thomas and Associates, Les Brown and Associates, right? Like everybody that was killing it was their name and other people. Right. Mm-hmm. And it was like no one else's name, just others. Right. And I was like, oh, okay, that's what I got to do. Cool. Right. And then I was like, this sucks. Also, it's like, I bet you have some real big things you want to do, right? And accomplish and help and start the journey of, right? Like Martin Luther King Jr. didn't know, but I think he did know. He said, I have a dream. And that meant like, I might not see this, but I got to do my part for it to happen at some point. Right. And it's like, I don't know if it's meant for me to see. I mean, a tractor can come through here in a minute. I live in Delaware. We have a lot of tractors. Right. A tractor can come through this building in a heartbeat and I wouldn't be here. Right. But I know I got to do my part for it. So it just might be a dream, but if it's named after me, does it die with me? Because I hope what I do on here my time on this rock isn't just meant to go with me and then leave with me, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
that would suck. Right? Like, what a horrible journey. At the end, I'd be like, damn, really messed this up. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I got to give a shout out. You put them across the stream, Judy and Allegra Pacheco. They dropped the blue and greens. That's
Yep.
the UnleashU Now color. So I started as a criminal, and now I'm a Care Bear. Everybody drops colored hearts around me. I'm like, oh, life really took a turn. But yeah, like you were saying, remember I ended the story about how I moved to Delaware. I didn't deal with anything when I moved to Delaware. I just moved, right? So I still had that interior of the guy that lost a brother, the guy that lost a friend in high school, the guy that lost his pop, right? Like I was that guy that still had all that damage that I never addressed. Like I never went through, right? Like I never dealt with any of it. I just was mad, right? And I really I make fun of fluff and snuff, but meditation actually really works for me. Now I don't do like the stuff, like I can't do that, but just taking time and really reflecting on what I'm grateful for and what I'm thankful for. Like it's hard to be angry and grateful at the same time. Right. Like it's like, I'm really happy for this. Right. Like it doesn't really exist that way. So that really helped me get over some of my anger issue because I had a real bad anger problem. And that's why I only have like 7 teeth left. Because I was really good at anger. Wasn't the best at fighting. Right. But yeah, but I was really good at the anger part. But anyway, so when I moved to Delaware, I still didn't address anything. And then in 2011, one of my best friends took his own life. And that kind of like blew up my fake bubble. I always say that was the beginning of the end of fake Mike for me. Right. Like, and fake Mike was glorious fake. Right. Like everybody thinks I'm making fun of other people, and I'm really making fun of who I was. Right. When I'm making fun of people online, they're like, oh, I know who you're going at. I'm like, no, you don't. I'm going at me. Right. Because I was the guy that had more cars than days. Right. Why? All right. And I was the guy that had, big houses and for so I could go and sit in different rooms in different hours, right? Because that really makes me feel better, right? And I was the epitome of fake, man. I every day I drove around this white Cadillac Escalade. It was my favorite of the car I had, and I had spinning rims on it, which was hilarious because everybody thought you were going to crash into them. And I had 6 12-inch subwoofers in the back, loud as hell. No one wanted to be in that car, right? Uncomfortable as hell to drive. It was like the whole time. TVs everywhere, tinted out. I wore Converse velour suits every day with matching Timberland and matching Kango hats, right? Like I was the epitome of what the hell are you doing? And I didn't have anyone that was like Mike. You ever wear jeans or sweats or like any other fabric, right? Like you might want to try. Do you have sneakers? Can you try those, right? Like anything. Do you have a regular hat or no hat, right? And it was horrendous. The jokes people must have said, and I wish I heard them now because I bet they were. Now I think they were hilarious. Then I would like try to like cut them with my tooth or something. But I was the epitome of fake. And when I literally was hitting fake golf balls in the yard. My day where one of my best friends called me and said he had a fight with his wife, and I was like, "Well, welcome to marriage, brother. You like go home and talk it out." Right? Like it's like, is this your first fight? Like, what are you talking about? I'm hitting fake golf balls. Right. And the next day I found out he was missing. And the day after that, I found out he was dead. Right. And it was just like, oh, my God. Right. And like my whole studies is human behavior and neuroscience. There were so many things I didn't pay attention to on the call that I'm like, man, right. I should have listened. Right. But I was in that I'm great and fake. But when that happened, everything came crumbling down. My reality shattered. And I realized I didn't even have a reality. I had a fake reality I created. Then that shattered, right? So real reality was gone, and I didn't even have the buffer to think about a different reality, right? And I got into drugs and tried to take my own life in Lewis Beach. Spoiler alert, I'm here. And then hitchhiked and disappeared for a little while and came back, and I was like, I'm gonna make people's lives better. Right, we're going to help people. I literally kicked in the door in one of my best friend's house, Alex McClure. He's still part of UnleashU now, and he was the first person I told about it. And I was like, "Bro, we're going to change the world." And he asked, "How high was I?" I was like, "I'm not. Right? Like, I'm sober." All right. He was like, "No, you got to be messed up talking like that. We don't change the world." I'm like, "We're the exact kind of people that do change the world." And he's like, "How are we going to do it?" I had no idea. So I said, one person at a time. Let's figure it out. Right. And it's hilarious. When we first started, I was like using manners. Like I would hold the door for people and like get their cart. Right? I'll take your cart back, bro. Right? Like, shoot, I'm making the world a better place. Right? And I was like, actually, what you're doing is called manners. Right? You really lived a good life, Michael. Right? But as it went on, I was like a motivational guy, and I would try to motivate and talk through story. And I worked the first year, we did like 415 clients one-on-one sessions, which I would never recommend to anybody. And 390 of them were free. Right. So I was broke and really not making good impact. Right. And then finally someone was like, bro, I mean, I've been in business since before I was 20. Right. And then legal businesses at 20 and on. Right. And, but it was like, why don't you help people with business? You're good at that. And I'm like, well, I don't want to be about that. I want to like help people that are in need. And they're like, why don't you help the people build the businesses to help the people that are in need then? And I was like, oh, that's kind of brilliant, right? Like, I kind of like that, right? So I still get to help the people, but I'm helping the people that help the people too.
Right.
Right. And your number can expand faster that way. And I want to reach 1 billion people. So I got to move. You know what I mean? I'm not the epitome of health. I got to move. Right. So that's how we got to here. And then it evolved over time. And I was CMF originally. And then we were sitting around this table, me, Alex, Steve Johnson, and Frank Payton. And I was like, I really want something with unleashed in it. Because look at me, I feel unleashed. Right. And everybody's like, ha, 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 ha. And like, you're an idiot. And Steve Johnson was like, yeah, dude, like, about time. Right. Like, about time you did it. Like, it's like the tree, the best time was 20 years ago and the second best time is now. And I was like, unleash you now. And Steve Johnson literally right there drew the logo on a piece of paper on a napkin. And that was what we became right after that.
Wow. That's such an awesome story just to hear, from the very beginning, taking you on this really long journey and if anything else, maybe a transformation kind of. But you were talking about like the fakeness, and we're talking about ego and all that stuff. And I mean, as soon as you said when you post how people think it's about somebody else, you're actually just posting what you're saying to yourself. I mean, I find myself posting the same way a lot because I'm really just talking to myself. It's kind of like my way of journaling in a way. It's like speaking myself through that. But again, that ego jumps out at everybody when they think, oh, well, you're talking about me or you're talking about so-and-so, right? It's like, no, not really. Just kind of talking my thoughts out in my own head here. But so, you go through this whole process, right? And so again, here you are now. Tell me exactly now when you work with someone. So someone comes to you and says, hey, Mike, I want your help. I want to take my business to the next level. I want to make a greater impact. What are some of the questions that you ask first? What are some of the things that you talk about just to kind of get to know that person?
Right. So I ask a couple questions like, what's your business? What do you do? All right. What are you about? Where is it now? Like what levels are you at? Where do you want it to be? All right. Why does this all matter to you?
Mm-hmm.
Those are some questions I'm going to ask right off the bat. All right. Dropping the blue and green. Let's go. So that's going to give me some information I need to know about you and your business in order to know if I can help it or not. I'm big on turning people away. That sounds horrible. I'm big on saying no, right? Like only if I can really help you do I want to help you. Mm-hmm. Right. Like I'm not one that's like, let's take in as many people as we can. Right. Like that's not my style. Right. Like, right. I don't even know how Jose
what would be something to you that you'd be like, that's not a good fit for me?
Well, anybody that talks about just dollar signs, I'm not it.
Okay.
Right. If monetary is the only thing you're focused on, I'm not it. Right. And then there's things like there's certain people I know in the space that are really good at certain focuses. Mm-hmm. Right. Like a tech company. I'm probably passing you on to a couple of guys I know that are big in that space that have built them and know how. And typically tech companies are built to sell, right? Which at the beginning I'm really not looking at with a business or building in a way to do that in a 3-year span, like most tech companies are looking for. So there's things like that where I just know I'm not a good fit, or I am. If you're not open to trying anything different or doing anything different, right? Like if you're stubborn, love it. I'm just not going to coach it, right? Like, be stubborn, rock your head on that wall as much as you can, but I'm just not going to be part of it. So there's things like that I look for, and then different situations that I'm like, not it. Plus, like I'm not cheap, brother. Like, I'm not free. All right. So I'm like,
Not anymore.
All right. Yeah. I don't want to take your last dollar. So I'm like, listen, here's some guides. I'll do a discovery call with you, which we normally charge for, but I'll do nothing and just set you in the direction to start making and then come over. Right. Like I don't want you to go broke to say you hired me. That's bad for both of us. All right. So there's situations like that I pay attention to, that I know what'll be good for us and good for them, or not for us and not for them.
And who's like the ideal person that you like to work with?
A frustrated, empowering entrepreneur that wants to make the world a better place and doesn't want to spend 18 years figuring it out, or all the different avenues, right? That tried everything. That really didn't try everything, right? Because no one ever does. But that, and their strive is to make their first 7 figures of profit. Because after you make that, I know who I hand you off to. I have a couple coaches I hand you to that will get 8, 9, 10. Profit, though. Not like real profit, not like BS numbers that people throw around that say I made.
Right.
Because a lot of businesses do that.
Absolutely. And the martial arts world would be something that would probably make you shake your head out a little bit sometimes. What are some of the biggest challenges or some of the biggest successes that you've had with recent clients?
Oh man, I had so many successes recently. We're on a roll. I don't want to toot my horn. It really has nothing to do with me. It has to do with them. We're on a roll right now. We have a great community right now that's killing it. Spencer Jones, the Prince of Positivity, having a monster event in Chicago next year, a couple hundred people in a room, going from, in 2 years, literally like no following, less than $1,000 made in a year, to a 6+ figure business and hosting hundreds of people in a room. I'm like, damn, that dude did it faster than me. All right. Pacheco's about to sell their ginormous business in New Mexico. I'm not putting any of their business in the street, so I'll stop there. But and then their family starting another business, right, and getting it off the ground right now. Like that's awesome to see, and I just love being a part of it and getting to see the journey. Michelle Alber's doing huge things right now, taking people to Thailand next year, right? Like just I can go name by name, but you get real pissed off at me here. Just people doing extraordinary things. Doug Ferrier, Javier Santana, who's in the house, had like his best year, kills the marketing space. I always say I'm the best in the space. If there was someone that can compete with me, Javier would be one of the names I would throw out there. Built High Ground Creative, as you see in his picture, but also just an awesome dude, awesome father, awesome friend. But having one of the best years of his business. And branching off into a whole nother. Plus, he got himself out of the business where he doesn't have to be in it every day, which is a huge win, for anybody that's been in business. When you make it where you don't have to do it, it's awesome. If you want to, cool. But if you don't have to, it's like, thank you, Jesus. Right. So, I mean, I could run through name after name. There's a lot of people winning right now. I call this winning season. They're winning right now. So the hard ones, man, the hardest ones are the ones that could do it. They just don't take action. Like they can make it, they're meant for it, and they're just not willing to take that step. That bothers me to the core, man. That bothers me to the bone. I don't know if I want to cry or punch them in the throat, one or the other. But I love free stuff, and both of them are free, right?
So this is awesome. So Judy said, I don't know if you read that comment. She said that's what separates you from the rest is that you care and you help probably more than you should. Unlike some who nickel and dime and they're all ego.
Nice.
You started out talking about, all these, public speakers and mastermind events, and what got you into listening to certain people and going to certain events?
Dude, it was after I opened a restaurant and bar. That was the first business I opened, like legit brick and mortar business. I opened a restaurant and bar and it burnt down. I learned a valuable lesson was have proper insurance. Right? Because I didn't. So I lost a whole bunch of money. All right. Got my butt whooped. And at the same time, it's like 06 and going into 07. Right. So I get my butt whooped in this, but I still have, I already started a landscape business and a property management company. So we had another business. So I was like, all right. But I was still trying to figure business out too. Like I wasn't making it, it was just like hanging on. All right. It's different between a thriving business and a surviving business. They're different. All right. And I was in the surviving business. All right. bracket where it was like, please pay your invoice because I'll die if you don't. Right? Like my ribs will tuck. You know what I mean? Ramen noodles again. Damn. And I bought 2 houses, and right as the bubble burst in the housing market, so I lost a bunch there. So I was really taking some hits, and I was like, I am a mess up in life. Right? Like that's all I was thinking at this time was I am the biggest screw up in life has to offer. And I don't know why I ever thought I could do this stuff, because clearly I can't do this stuff. And a buddy of mine who had a couple businesses too was like, dude, I'm going to this meeting. You want to come? And I was like, no. All right. And he's like, no, you want to come. Right. Like as other business owners, you probably get some ideas, connect with other people doing what we're doing in the area that it'll be good for you. So I was like, oh, whatever, man, I'll go. Right. And it was my first time experiencing a mastermind. And it was just other people in businesses. First of all, some of them were killing it, right? I was just like, you do that in business? Right? Like, like that sounds amazing. What do you do? Like sell people? Like that's not even meaning a bad joke. Like that's seriously, like, how do you make so much money? All right. And profit and help people and like all the stuff they were talking about. And I was like, oh my God, like my mind was blown. Like I left there and I like 17 different things I had to implement in my business. All right. Like realized I was doing everything the wrong way. Right. Like I was like, I'm the idiot. Right. That's what I learned. I was the idiot. Right. So I was like, oh my God, I'm the idiot. And I was like, dude, how much to join this mastermind? They were like 10K. I was like, I don't have access to 10K right now. Right. Like I just lost everything. All right. At least cash at hand I lost. Right. Like that was all gone. So we were living on exactly what our cash flow was. So I was like, I don't have extra. Right. So I was like, dude, do you guys do like a loan or payment plan or anything? And the guy's like, nah, man, we're not MasterCard, brother. Right. And I was like, what? And he's like, go get credit cards. We're not them. Right. And I was like, oh my God. Okay. So this is how bad a shape I was in. I had to get like 4 college credit cards at like $2,500 max, right? 40% APR. And I thought it was a great steal. I got 4 of them for $2,500 each. And I bought $100. And I was like, here's $100. Charge each of these cards evenly the difference, right? And that guy did not care. He charged 4 cards. I was like, this dude did not give a damn. I was like, at least cash limited, right? And he charged me, and that was the first time I joined a mastermind. But I seriously say, because that mastermind was the first way I figured out to clear 6 figures, right? So it was huge for me. Yeah, would you give 10K for 6K? Like, yes, right? Like, would you give 10K for 100K? Yeah, you wouldn't do it for 6K, but you do it for 6 figures. All right. And that was the first time. And then when everything happened with my friend and I was going through everything and I was trying to come back from it, and my buddy took me to a conference in Philly. And it was like, nowadays it would be insane to have all these people on the same stage. All right, like it was like John Maxwell and Tony Robbins and Eric Thomas and Gary Vee and right, like and like it literally it was like every big hitter now was on the one stage in one room one day.
Wow.
All right, and I went there and I was the classic jerk in the corner, like not any impression, right? Like I'm not doing anything they're saying. I'm standing there, sitting there like this, right? Like really tough guy in it. Get in the car, him and 2 of his buddies went. They're all like, oh my God, this, oh my God, when he said that, right? Like they all do. And I'm like, yeah, I don't care. Right. And I got to my house, they dropped me off. I walked into my room and I started crying, right? Because it was like everything I was holding while I was at that event, finally I could release. And I was like, man, that's the power of an event. Like that's the power of being immersed in something, right? Like, you know, when you go to your facility, right? I didn't want to say the wrong name. I was like, temple. When you go,
not quite a temple. We can call it a school. We can.
There you go. When you go to your school, right? Like the people there, you're immersed in what you're doing.
Yeah.
Right. Like there is nothing else at this time. There is this, and there is different layers to it, from the utmost greatness to trying to figure it out. Right. But you're all immersed in this space together. Mm-hmm. There's nothing like that. When you can be immersed in something and just it. Right? Like it's therapeutic because it's like an escape for a minute, right? It's inspiring and it's teaching, right? So I'm growing, I'm learning, right? All at one time in one space for as many times as you're there, you're just there. And it's like you learn by jumping in the deep end, right? It's like my dad taught me how to swim by throwing me in the deep end of the pool. said, figure it out, kid. Right. And it's like that when you're immersed in this, it's like, you're going to figure this out. Like it's all around you. It's everywhere. Like you're going to experience this. And I went to when I did that, I went to the event. I was like, oh my God, like, you know how long it would have had to take me to get all those lessons? Like it would have been a lifetime. It would have been a decade. I would have been trying to learn everything that I went through that day. Right. So I wanted to create that because I knew through that you can create condensed time transformation, right? Or growth. And that's what we all want. And I say, people, you don't pay me for the hour I'm working with you. You pay me for the 20 years that took for me to help you in this hour.
Right.
Right. And it's like, that's why I hate when people are like, pay, what do you get paid per hour? I'm like, I don't do paid per hour. Right? Like I do paid for what service. All right. Because I know what I need to do for that service. Right. Yeah. So I'm like, it'll cost you this. I don't know the time it'll take, but I know what it'll cost you. Right. So that's why we kind of went that route, was because I saw the impact and what it could do in my own life and wanted to create that for others.
Yeah. I remember the first time that I ever set foot into a martial arts mastermind group, a consulting group, if you will. And, for 10 years, I had been running my martial arts school and loving it. Right. And thinking that I was doing okay, to be honest with you, thinking I was doing okay. But I, kind of got to a point where, I got married and then we started having kids and then we started needing more than what was being provided at that time. And I was really kind of at a loss, of what to do next. Right. I really didn't know how to get to that next step. And it was actually, again, if he's watching, Mr. Cox, who suggested to me, hey, go check out this super show. It was in Las Vegas. It's a big martial arts super show promoted by Century Martial Arts. And so I go and at first it's just a trade show, right? And so you walk around and that's kind of cool. But, you go in this one conference room and everybody's invited in and basically they kind of give you the rundown. This is what you could be doing, and this is probably where you are, and just like laid out all the steps. And I was like, how did you even know where I was? And how do you have any idea of where I could go? And I'm listening like you, arms crossed, going, I ain't doing none of this shit. Like I'm not doing that. That is such a sellout way to do business as a martial arts school. That's never going to fly in my area. All the excuses, right? But by the end of the time, things started kind of coming around, and this was definitely not a low budget event or a low budget service. But I could have gone either way. I was like, screw it and walk out and just keep doing what I'm doing, or I got to take a chance and I got to take a shot. And long story short, ended up getting involved in this program, stayed with the program for 3 years, ended up becoming a consultant for this program, working with schools all over the country, learning so much about my martial arts school and how we can make a bigger impact in our community. And, but like you said, the immersion, right? The immersion of like just being like everything and realizing that true impact, because I only thought about the impact that I had on my students within my four walls. I didn't understand the impact that if I taught my students how to be leaders like me, and I taught my students to become instructors, I could build a team who could now help more people, and more people doing the things within our four walls go out into our community and eventually go on to the greater world and make that impact. So everything you're saying, just, it hits home for me. I remember the moment of saying, that's not for me. I can't do it. I'm no longer consulting now, but I do have lots of friends that have martial arts schools, and we all talk shop kind of a bit. And we have, I would say, an affiliation or organization where, we meet once a month, talk about business. And that's kind of our smaller mastermind to help us hold each other accountable and help us each raise our bar, which I think is important. So, so I think that's all good stuff. And it's all a good conversation. Now, in the very beginning, by the way, you told me about a restaurant that you didn't have the proper insurance. I thought I'd give this one a shot and just give you guys a quick peek into someone that I know in my area can help you with insurance. So let's just take a look at Insurance Brokers West real quick. like how you're grooving in the background. So you're dancing a little bit, right?
Right.
Hey guys, this is for Insurance Brokers West here in Moorpark, California. IBWINS.com if you guys need more information. Thank you, Daniel Groff, for always supporting me in everything that I do. So Daniel's a great friend of mine. So Michael, we're getting kind of close to the end, and we've had a pretty consistent audience. And I would like to ask if there's anybody that is watching. I've had a lot of comments from your crew, and Mr. Cox and Jose were here. Anybody have any questions for Michael? Anything that you would like to know about him, or anything that he might be able to answer for you? Either one of us, for that matter. Any questions, please post them in the comments, and I'll put them up here as we get ready to wrap things up. So what's the agenda for 2024? Everybody's talking about their word. What is their word for 2024? What are their resolutions? I don't really believe in resolutions, because I feel like every day I wake up with a new resolution. Every week, every month, it's kind of like that new start, no matter what. But goals. Do you have a word?
Devoted. I always have anything that fits everybody else's thing, so I don't get too complicated on them. But this year is the year of devotion.
Nice.
Right. It's a deeper form of commitment to the people I'm committed to the things I'm committed to the cause and purpose I'm committed to. It's less distractions and less I'm willing to give attention to other places this year. So that's the big move.
And what really kind of drew you to that word? And what made you, when you sat down and you thought about it, or did it come to you? Because sometimes I see everybody posting their word, and I'm like, what made you pick that word?
All right. So it was funny. I was listening to a speaker talk about how we use too fragile words like commitment, dedication, right? They're fragile words. They don't show the strength you need for either. Right. And it's like he said he made a covenant when he talked about his life purpose. It was like something that's literally in his DNA now. It's part of his fabric. It's like when you become blood brothers with someone, you cut yourself and they cut themselves. And now you're within, right? Like, and the guy said, how many here can truly say they're devoted to their cause, right? And before that, literally right before that event, right before hearing him, I was talking to someone about how commitment was really standing out to me, but it was deeper than that. I didn't know how to explain it, but it was like that that I'm really going to go to another level of getting results for our people and getting results for us. Like we're going to turn it up a notch, right? But when you hear that, you think of like, Shots or whatever song comes to your mind when you're here, like turn it up. And then he said devoted, and I was like, and like when he said it, it was like everything else went numb and silent, and it was just I sat there in that word, like it was like, pay attention right now. This is what you're thinking, and that's kind of why I was like, that's what I was supposed to hear. So that's how I got that word.
Isn't it amazing sometimes too when you really take a moment to really listen, right? Really listen to what someone's saying. And it really does, like you said much earlier at the beginning of the conversation, this voice starts to whisper in your ear, but sooner or later it gets so loud that you can't even ignore it. It's just, but do we take enough time to do that? Do we always take enough time to listen, or are we getting distracted by, what do I need to do today? What do I need to get done by the end of the week? Being busy, trying to do all that, but just taking that moment. And you talked about meditation helping you with that. Just taking a moment to really focus in and to really listen. I know a lot of listeners or people that have watched the show before. We talk about 75 Hard, and part of the 75 Hard program is there's a meditation component to it, or just a deep thinking. It's kind of hard, when you're a busy entrepreneur and business owner and dad and all the other things that you got going on in your life, to just sit still for a minute and just really truly listen. So
yes, the first time you do mindfulness, it's like, I'm like, all right, like trying to find something. Yeah, trying to find something to do. Let me tell you. I said I want to tell you a story. I want to tell you a story of the last time I was in trouble. It wasn't the time I was facing 20 plus years. It was after that. I'm one of the statistics that have been married and divorced, right? But it was the night before my wedding, and I'm in Delaware. Well, now a bunch of people from other areas are coming here for me, right? So like a lot of my best guys were New York, PA, Louisiana, right, Michigan, South Carolina, Florida, right? Like they were coming from all over, Texas, right? Like people were coming from everywhere. And the one thing that was said was, do not get in trouble. Right? I was like, why would I get in trouble? Right? And we go to this dive dead bar, right? It's called Park Place. And there's like 6 people in there minus us, right? So it's dead. And I'm like, perfect. Like exactly what I wanted. All right. And we're just sitting there watching the game, talking noise, whatever. And then in walks like 6, 7 girls and 2 dudes. All right. And I still think nothing of it. And the night's going on, whatever. Some of my guys are talking to them, whatever. Everybody's just shooting their shot, having fun, whatever. I'm sitting in the bar with 3 of my buddies, and we're just talking about the game. All right. And we go to leave. And when we're leaving, there's a guy that I know that's huge. He's very big. He was a big time D1 football player, had an NFL tryout, got in trouble, had another NFL tryout. And he's strong and fast and big. He's like 6'5", and I said brick. He's built like a brick poop house. The amount of G-rated I've done in the show, you should be impressed of the respect I have for you to try that. And I walk outside and I see him and this dude talking, right? Like, and kind of like going back and forth with repartees, right? And I'm like, oh, hell no, right? So I run over and I'm like, oh, whoa. Like everybody, like, you go that way, we're going this way. Like, never tell the 2 meet again, right? And he's like, you didn't have to call me little guy. And this guy's like 6'3", right? And I'm like, well, I mean, to him, everyone's little. So he just says that, right? Like, don't be so sensitive about little guy stuff. You're tall, right? Like, and he was very upset about it. And I was like, guy, it's over. Like, he just called you little guy. Relax, right? Like, no big deals here. And I was just about to I got everyone in the car and I was just about to sit down. And this guy used a choice word to describe my friend and called us a different term that was not flattering. All right. And it was right before my butt could hit the seat, right? Like literally my hand's on it. I'm just about to sit down. And I'm like, what'd you say? All right. And the guy's like, what? I'm like, what'd you just say? Right. So I start walking towards him. I'm like, no. Say that again. Say that to me. Right. And he's like, you heard me. He's like, I'm like, no. Yeah, just say it. I just wanted to see that you're man enough to say it to me. All right. And he was like, what? Like, you're going to do anything? What are you going to do? I was like, all right, cool. I'll start it. And I grabbed his nipple and I twisted it and kind of like twist and push back. I gave him a purple nurple. All right. And he called the cops. And I was arrested for assault. Right.
Wow.
And that was my previous charges I got caught with. So I was like, I cannot get caught for assault for this. Right. Because there's no way I'm telling people in jail I gave a guy a purple nurple and I'm up in here. Right. And it was the 6'3" dude. We had to go to court for it. Like it was, and the judge is like laughing at everybody. And how I got out of it was when the cops asked me why I did it. I said I was flirting with him. He's a handsome man. Right. Because I didn't want to make it like it was like I was trying to start a fight. Right. And the judge and the cop laughed so much, man, then they threw it out. But it was that was the last time I was in trouble. I gave a guy a purple nurple. And I was like, man, I'm done. It's over. Because if I went to jail for a purple nurple, no self.
You'd have to add a purple heart to the UnleashU Now. That's
right. Yeah, I can't do that. Yeah, I can't do that. It was before UnleashU Now, but so that was my last time I was actually in trouble. It was for a purple nurple.
Wow.
You're welcome.
Well, thank you for that. On that note, we've had an amazing hour talking with Michael Fabber here, and I hope that you guys have enjoyed watching. Look forward to connecting again in the future. See where that goes for us. I want to thank everybody for watching today and for all of your comments. Do us a favor, go to YouTube and subscribe to Master Motivation Podcast and share this video so everybody can hear the purple. I can't even say it. Purple. I can't even say it. You got to share the story. But guys, I love to end the show with this, and this is just something that's constantly on my mind when I'm talking with my students, my family, my friends, is that go out and find your passion and do what you love. serve others, and get after it each and every day. Thank you, Michael Fabber, for being on the show. Hang out for just a minute. We'll have a post chat. And guys, that's it for today. Go out and make 2024 the best year yet. Make today the best year yet every day. And we'll see you on the next episode of Master Motivation Podcast. Thank you so much, guys. Take care.